Man of God, let me ask you a question that's going to make you feel a little bit uncomfortable. You're in a life or death situation, and you can only save one person: your mom, your child, or your wife. What are you going to do? Who are you going to save? Now, before you answer that, before you go into the comments, before you say, that's easy, I want you to sit with it for just a moment, because this question isn't really about emergencies. It's about priorities. It's about covenant. It's about calling. Today, we're going to walk through this biblically, logically, and spiritually. And I promise you, by the end, you will see this differently than you ever expected. Now, listen, this is not about loving someone more emotionally. This is not about who's more important as a human being, because biblically, every life has equal value. But God does assign roles. God assigns roles, covenants, and responsibilities. And if we ignore those, we create confusion in marriage, in parenting, and in leadership. And men, confusion is expensive. It costs peace. It costs unity. It costs legacy. So today we're going to look at this through three lenses: emotion, responsibility, and biblical covenant. Most men will answer this question emotionally. Some will say, my child, because they're helpless. Some are going to say, my mom, because she gave me life. Some are going to say, my wife, because she is my partner. And emotionally, all of those make total sense because you love all three, but emotional love and covenant responsibility are not always the same thing. Let me say that again. Love is equal. Roles are not equal. You love your child. You honor your mother. You are one with your wife. Different relationships, different design, different responsibility. So what does the Bible say about priority? Well, let's go to the foundation. Genesis 2:24. A man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. Notice the order, not add wife to existing family hierarchy, but leave, cleave, become one. Marriage is not addition. Marriage is creation of a new primary unit. You didn't stop loving your mom. You didn't stop honoring your parents, but your primary covenant shifted. Ephesians 5 points out the weight of husband leadership. It says, husband, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. That sacrificial covenant language. That's sacrificial covenant language, not protect her when convenient. It doesn't say lead when it's easy. It doesn't say love when she agrees. No, lay your life down for her. What about your child? Children are a stewardship assignment. Psalm 127 says this: children are a heritage from the Lord. You are responsible for protecting them, for raising them, for training them, for launching them. But eventually, they leave and create their own covenant unit. Marriage is permanent covenant. Parenting is temporary stewardship. There is a difference. Here's the hard truth that most men don't say out loud. If we follow biblical covenant structure in a true life or death forced choice, the covenant answer is, drum roll please, your wife. And that is hard for some people to hear. Let me explain why. Your wife is your covenant partner, your spiritual unit, your legacy builder, your life assignment partner. Your child came from that union, not the other way around. Now listen, I know emotionally that is hard for some of you, and I'm not saying you love your child less or you value your mom less. I'm saying this. God created marriage as the primary earthly covenant relationship. So why this matters for real life is this. Most men don't fail in emergencies. They fail in daily priority decisions, choosing things like phone over wife. Yes, phone over your wife should not be a priority decision that you have to make, but many of us struggle with that and fail day in and day out because we choose our phone over our wives. Another priority we fail in is work over family presence. We fail at that. We fail at escape over leadership. We fail at silence over communication. The real question isn't, who would you save in a disaster? The real question is this, who are you choosing daily? I ask this because every day you are voting. You're voting for unity or drift. You're voting for leadership or passivity, for covenant or for convenience. When a marriage is strong, children feel safer, families become stronger, legacy becomes clearer. The enemy loves when parents compete with spouse. The enemy loves that. When your parents compete with your spouse. The enemy loves when the spouse, your wife, competes with the children. Mothers competing with wives. God designed order. God designed order for protection, not for control. So let me ask you this real question for a minute. If I asked let me be real for a second. If I asked all your mothers this question, they would probably say this, boy, you better save your... Let me be real for a minute. If I asked all your mothers, they would probably say this, boy, you better save your wife. I raised you to be a husband. You not moving back into my house. And honestly, most good moms would say the exact same thing. They would say this because healthy parents want you to build your covenant, not replace it. Here's the real takeaway for you, men. This question isn't about tragedy. It's about alignment. Ask yourself, am I protecting my covenant? Am I leading my home? Am I honoring my parents while prioritizing my marriage? Am I raising my children to understand covenant and covenant order? Because men, strong marriages don't happen by accident. They happen by intentional covenant leadership. Man of God, if this challenged you, that's great. If this made you think, then even better. In the comments below, I want you to write this: covenant over comfort. In the comments below, write covenant over comfort. And if you're serious about becoming the husband, the father, the leader God called you to be, then subscribe for more. Because here, we don't just talk about being men, we build kingdom men.